How you doing, fellow weebs? Hey guys, the Firebird is here. It's just me, my brother couldn't be here today, as always, because he was coming up with an excuse for tomorrow. Because we all know he's gonna be missing the next episode and the next episode after that one. So, yay! I should probably make a compilation of these. Like, I'm pretty sure I have an entire year's worth of my brother couldn't be here today jokes. Anyway, so today we're talking about one of my favorite Transformers games, and that is Transformers War for Cybertron. Even though I like Follow Cybertron better, I still think that War for Cybertron has more interesting elements in it, like, I mean story-wise, which is why I'm making videos on it before jumping on to Follow Cybertron, and also because in the meantime while we're still waiting for any news on the new Transformers game to come out, I need something to fill in the gap, the missing hole in my chest for that Transformers game we are waiting so long for. So yeah, in today's video we're answering a question that actually bothered me for the longest time. In War for Cybertron, once Megatron basically corrupts the core of the planet with Dark Energon, why the frick was he not blamed for it? I mean, Cybertron dies, but all of us and Decepticons are forced to leave the planet, but no one ever really mentions or blames Megatron for the planet dying. The Decepticons are perfectly fine with following his orders. And then you also have the whole thing with Dark Energon not being brought up ever in Follow Cybertron. I think there's a few mentions to Dark Energon in Follow Cybertron, but for the most part after War for Cybertron until Transformers Prime, Dark Energon is just gone. That's actually gonna be probably a video for another time, maybe the next video I do. We'll see if you guys are interested in that, and if this video does fairly well. But yeah, Megatron essentially caused Cybertron to be destroyed. Why did his faction not, collapse in itself? Like, why didn't any other Decepticons call out Megatron for basically ruining everything? I had this question for the longest time, but after rewatching the whole War for Cybertron, gameplay out on YouTube, I think I have a pretty good answer as to why Megatron wasn't treated as, a traitor or the guy who ruined everything, but he was treated by the other Decepticons as more or less a savior, and I'll explain why. So first off, we need context. Now, at the beginning of War for Cybertron, when the Decepticons are attacking Starscream's own separate militia, by the way, Starscream is not part of the Autobots. He has his own personal army of, Cybertronings along with a few Autobots. But for the most part, Starscream is his own faction at this point. So Megatron is after Dark Energon, and something that we need to understand about this is that he's not doing this because he simply felt like it. He's doing this because by this point in the timeline, Civil War has been raging for about 1,000,000 years, and the Autobots are still more or less in charge of at least winning the war. You also need to remember that the reason why the Decepticon movement started in the first place was in response to the Autobot government being corrupt and them basically stepping over, hard-working Cybertronian citizens. So the Decepticons are basically like a rebellion at this point. They have taken over quite a few cities and they have, prolonged this war for so long, but at the same time, they're not exactly winning the war. So Megatron basically saw Dark Energon as a way to, tip the balance in their favor, which leads to Megatron, starting the space bridge, then attacking the capital city of Iacon, acquiring the Mega Key, and almost killing Zeta Prime in the process. So Megatron reaches the core of Cybertron and uses Dark Energon to corrupt the world with Dark Energon, uses it as their new, source of fuel. Now Megatron, the reason why he's doing this, and as far as the other Decepticons can tell, Dark Energon isn't really dangerous for them because in the first chapter we see Megatron be, enhanced by Dark Energon. Then he hits both Brawl and Barricade before he went missing with a Dark Energon power-up. And with that alone, they were able to fight their way through Starscream. So as far as the Decepticons have seen, Dark Energon has been nothing but beneficial at this point. Now that's not really the case when it comes to the Autobots since, they see firsthand what Dark Energon can do and the chaos and damage it's causing. And by having Dark Energon in the core, Megatron essentially has more or less some control over Dark Energon, like he can control it to some extent, much like he does in the Transformers Prime TV show. So he uses Dark Energon against the Autobots, and he uses it to favor his own Decepticon troopers. So as far as the Decepticons see it, it's a good thing. Now this is probably something that Megatron doesn't know, or did not know at the time, but in Chapter 3 of War for Cybertron, Optimus Prime gets told by the High Council that Cybertron's core is infected and it could pose a danger in the long run. So he goes to, expel the corruption, but then the core of Cybertron, aka Primus, explains to him that he's gonna have to shut himself out to clear the corruption, and that this damage is quite severe. So Optimus Prime essentially undoes what Megatron did. Megatron put the Dark Energon inside the core, and Optimus Prime essentially took it out, but this is where some of the politics of the Transformers universe comes in. And now, I don't mean politics as in the really boring, Twitter maniacs that are like everything's racist, everything's sexist kind of thing. I mean actually interesting politics. We see a bit of this in Transformers, but not too often. And the thing that Optimus Prime does here, he's doing the right thing. He's shutting down the core because, Dark Energon's not gonna, be efficient fuel for them. It's probably gonna, put them in a really bad state in the long run and quite possibly exterminate the species of Cybertron. So, in response to this, and, his only choice at the moment is to shut down the core. Now, Megatron and the Decepticons, the way they see this is not as Megatron ruining everything because he put Dark Energon in there. The way they see it is that Megatron never had a chance to properly show them how, Dark Energon could benefit them in the long run. Dark Energon has been introduced for a week in the time span of the Transformers games, shortly after, the Decepticon chapter, the Autobot chapter starts immediately, then we get the whole Prison Break thing, and then Optimus goes to the core. At best I would say 4 Earth days kind of pass in between those events, maybe 3, that's still not enough time for, the Cybertronians to feel the full extent of the damage. As far as the Decepticons see it, Megatron, liberate them from Decepticon tyranny by shifting the scale of the war in their favor with Dark Energon, but then comes the evil Autobots led by Optimus Prime, who not only take out the Dark Energon from the core, but shut it down, essentially making Energon a scarce resource. So the Decepticons, using their propaganda, basically blame Optimus and the Autobots for Cybertron dying. I mean, sure, I'm pretty sure there's, a few Decepticons who do acknowledge that Megatron probably didn't do the smart thing by inserting Dark Energon into the core, but for the most part, most Decepticons have an even bigger reason to hate Optimus and the Autobots, because the whole point of the game was war for Cybertron, fighting for Cybertron. But now Optimus has kind of made Cybertron kind of pointless, because the scenario here is imagine, let's say, America and Russia, whatever, they go to war, but during the war, let's say America basically sends out a bunch of nukes, and in response Russia also sends out a bunch of nukes, and because of that the air becomes polluted, there's not enough trees and resources, most of the water is radiated, so the earth kind of becomes useless and neither side kind of wins anymore by, beating the other side. That's likely how the Decepticons saw this. It's if we can have Cybertron, you can have Cybertron, so we're gonna destroy it. And the whole thing about the Autobots leaving the planet while leaving the Decepticons behind to starve to death without Energon probably didn't help their case. But yeah, this is basically the reason why Megatron wasn't really viewed as, responsible for Cybertron's demise. There's probably a few Decepticons who do, acknowledge that Megatron probably didn't help the situation, or at worst that the war actually ravaged the planet between the Autobots and Decepticons. But most Decepticons never, deserted the Decepticons because of what Megatron did, or question his authority at all. The Autobots did because they had the High Council and Optimus Prime to explain it to them, but for the Decepticons they never believed that, so most Decepticons never turned against Megatron because they sort of believed that Dark Energon was on their side. And honestly, who can really blame them? I mean, remember the first chapter when Megatron essentially turned Super Saiyan Rose and then overpowered Barricade and Brawl? I mean, if I was on the Decepticon side, I would be like, yes, Dark Energon all the way. But yeah guys, that's probably the reason why Megatron wasn't viewed as a bad guy in the first place. Now keep in mind that most of what I said is kind of a theory video, using some of the evidence and some of the stuff we have seen in the Align continuity. But I really do believe that this is like, you know, the main reason as to why Megatron was never blamed, because Optimus Prime undid the damage a bit too early so the Decepticons never felt it and they saw Optimus as, you know, dooming Cybertron so no one can have it since the Autobots were losing by this point. At least that's what I think the reason was. But anyways guys, that's it for this video. Shouts goes to our patrons, Maurice Prime, iPulse Fate, Mario Gordon, Predaking Hunter Plays, Mr. Baby Duke, and the absolute madman himself, Jordan the Great, who donated $100. Thanks for your support guys. Make sure to go check out their channels, links will be in the description down below, and if you guys want to shout out yourself, all you have to do is donate to my Patreon. By donating to my Patreon, you get quite a few rewards. You can get a shout out to your channel, you can request your own videos, you can collab with me in some of my videos if you choose to. You get a special role on my Discord server, you can also get early access to my videos and stuff like that. There's plenty of rewards to choose from and it's entirely optional. It sounds like a pretty good deal, right? But keep in mind, this is entirely optional since freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Thank you guys for donating, it's much appreciated. So yeah, thanks a lot guys. But yeah guys, that's it for this video. I'm gonna make a few more videos talking about the Transformers games like War for Cybertron and Follow Cybertron. For my next video, I might do a video talking about the War for Cybertron prequel, like the events that happened before War for Cybertron, because I think they're actually really interesting and it's something that doesn't get touched on in the game a lot. There's a few references to like the hidden backstory between Optimus Prime and Megatron in the Cybertron games, but it's never really expanded upon. It's actually really interesting and I think I'm going to talk about that, or I'm going to talk about the technological downgrade from War for Cybertron to Follow Cybertron. There's a lot of topics I can talk about, and until the Transformers game comes out, I'm gonna, you know, keep talking about this. So yeah guys, that's it for now. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.